the Radio Forest Podcast.
Forest, Steve Cropper here. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for calling us. You've got that new album, Fire It Up. Now, why are you considering this really your first album since 1969?
Well, it's not my first, obviously. But it's about dance music, I think. And it's the first real concentrated dance record I've made. Everything else has been concentrated on the song itself and the music of it and that sort of thing. And I think this one is really dedicated to dance. People, I think, are wanting to party again and dance and get out and have fun. This album can do it.
When you say dance, do you mean like rock music, blues music that you can dance to?
Well, I've said this. If this album doesn't make you wiggle when you listen to it, you're already dead.
How long did this album take to come together? Because you've been involved with a lot of historic albums and songs.
Not very long to put it together. Some of the songs have been around for a long time, some of the tracks and whatever. And it goes all the way back to basically John Tibbin and I were writing songs. And then this Felix Cavalieri project came up, and we started donating or concentrating on writing songs for the album. And we got Felix to play on a couple of them, which is fine, and he wrote off on them and all this sort of stuff. He said, I probably won't play on all the tracks, and I definitely am not going to sing them. So we just stopped it right there, and I just wrote them off as songs that we'll bring them up again later on another project. But during this lockdown, John Tibbin called and said, I've already worked on some of the tracks, and I want to finish them up. And I said, we're going to need a label and a singer. And he said, okay, well, I'll call you back. And he called me back and said, I've got the singer and the label. Okay. So I said, you're going to have to play me something by the singer. And he did. And I said, where's this guy been all my life? Roger C. Real is just unbelievable on this album. I think his voice is incredible, and he's a great singer.
So is he the one singing on Fire It Up? Did you do any like backing vocals or anything like that on the album?
No. The only backing vocal we have on is one song, Far Away, which is down in the album. And Beth Hooker is singing on it, and she works with a lot of other people too, but she lives next door to John Tibbin, so all she had to do was walk through the backyard and get on the microphone and sing during this lockdown. So she didn't have to get out with people in the traffic and all that sort of stuff, so that's good.
We're talking to Steve Cropper. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Of course, Booker T and the MGs, also the Blues Brothers. Now, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Songwriters Hall of Fame, Musicians Hall of Fame. If you had to rank those three or say which one kind of made you feel the best about getting the award, which one would have mattered to you?
That's hard to say. I don't discriminate or look at any of them that way. Never have. Or songs either. They're all with the same energy. Glad to receive the awards. I'm totally happy about it, and I think it's great at the time. So I've got a lot of them. A lot of different ones that I've got people don't even know about. You just named out the big ones. And I've got others, and they're all important, and, I think it's great.
What are some of the other ones you have then? School us. Tell us a little bit.
Well, what I have over on my shelf is stuff from Memphis and all that. I go all the way back with the musicians of Memphis and some University of Memphis stuff. Of course, it was Memphis State then. And let me get up here and read you some of these things.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
There's so many. One of them is the Blues Ball in Memphis Award, and another one is the Copyright Society for Excellence in Creativity, it says. And I've got some from Europe, and this one here is, I can't read you the one, is NMPA, Songwriter Icon.
That's really cool. Are these just kind of on a bookshelf like in your office or your like a little music room?
My office. And it is a bookshelf, it definitely. It has all those awards on it, and the ones you talked about. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame one, and, the Billboard Award up there and some other stuff.
Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. How did that song come together? Do you remember? I'm sure you get asked this all the time.
Otis was staying at Bill Graham's boathouse in Sausalito when he came up with that idea. He said, I watched the ships roll in, I watched them roll away again, and I stopped Otis when he sang it for me. And I said, have you ever thought about if a boat rolls, it's going to take on water and sink? And he said, no, Crop, that's what I want. Well, the thing is, you didn't really argue with Otis because you always knew that Otis knew what he was talking about. He might be explaining it different, but he knew what he was talking about. So he was actually talking about the ferries. And I always thought he was talking about ships going under the Golden Gate Bridge. And I helped him finish up some of the lyrics, and I wrote the changes to the bridge, which he said, and I still say to this day, I think the hit came when he said, I can't do what 10 people tell me to do. Nobody likes to be told what to do by their boss or by their manager or whoever,
Did it feel like a really good song then when you kind of got the song completed, or was it because
Absolutely. He knew it and I knew it. And then when he called me from the airport and said, I'm coming right down, I've got a hit. He had never done that before. He'd always check into his hotel or motel, and then he would call me and say, what time we're going to write. This time he'd call, he said, I just want to see if you were at the studio. I'm coming right down, I've got a hit. So he did. And he played me the two verses that he had, and I helped him fix the second verse and then helped him write the third one. And definitely wrote the changes to the bridge.
How about Soul Man with Sam and Dave? Did you also know that was going to be a hit, and how much involvement did you have in the songwriting?
We didn't know any of them were going to be hits until they were put out and became hits. But Isaac did come backstage. I was when I say backstage, back to the control room, which was on a stage of the old Capitol Theater. He said, I know that David Porter and I have written a hit for tomorrow's session, but I cannot come up with an intro. Can you help me come up with an intro? And so I did. He said, could you just take 5 minutes out of your time out and get your guitar and help me write an intro? And so I did. I plugged it up. I said, okay, play something. He said, no, you play something. I said, no, you play something. Play some changes and I'll play to it. And it did, and that was the intro. It was that quick. He just played those set of changes on the intro that fit right into the song, and I played those hammer licks and made it work.
That was off the top of your head then, or was that some riffs you had been noodling around for a while?
No, it just came off the top of my head, like everything else. I always wait till the last minute to do something. I like to hear it and embellish it for the first time. The same thing on this album. I was working on it, but I didn't live with it. And I said, get it in a form that I can hear. And I had the tapes here, but I didn't listen to it. I really don't like working something else the night before, working on something the night before, and trying to duplicate that in the studio. I like to hear it for the first time and let myself react to it.
So is it recorded live or just kind of written in the studio?
Well, the tracks were live in the studio, and then we had all these tracks as far as the album is concerned. So John sent it off to Roger Real, and he sang on it. And, the thing is, he did all these vocals through an iPhone, which would blow everybody's mind away if we made a thing out of it. Well, the thing is, the people that invented the phone and have phones out and push them are talking about making movies, home movies now, and you can edit them just like they do in Hollywood, is what they say in the advertisement. So we told them, and they were all excited. They've been saying for years that they had a good mic in their iPhones. Well, I guess everybody just took it for granted. It was a phone. They were more interested in the pictures that it took when everybody got into the selfies. So somehow they just pushed the mic aside, and Roger Real brought that whole thing up to forefront and said, I did all these vocals. Well, we knew he did them. How did you do them? He didn't record them on a piece of equipment that was recording equipment. He just did it on his iPhone.
Wow.
He would send it to John, and John, took it and sent it to me. And so it was all, dubbed down to Pro Tools, all the tracks and his vocal and everything. But Pro Tools really didn't change the sound of his vocal. It just enabled us to mix it where we needed to mix it. So put him in the right spot. But we didn't enhance it any. I mean, we might have used some EQ, but it didn't change the sound of the vocal. It might have helped it, but it didn't change the sound of it.
So did you do any producing on Fire It Up, or did you hand that off to someone else?
Well, I would say I'd give most of the idea of producing to John Tiven, but I did too. I didn't do any producing of the vocals at all. I mean, Roger did that on his own during the lockdown. So this album really came out of the lockdown. That was where John got the idea to call me, and I said, well, he said, I know you don't want to put out another record. Do you mind if I finish these tracks up and we put it out? There was about 15 of them. There's only 13 songs in this album. But there are some other tracks that some of them have been finished, and I think there's 15 total tracks, so that would leave 2 songs that are not in this album that we have that may come out on flip sides of the EP or whatever. Who knows what's going to happen with them. And the important thing is the album itself fired up, and it is. And there's only one instrumental. I could have done a bunch of instrumentals. But I did this one, and I've always loved this track on the Bush Hog. That title it's been several different titles, but I came up with that one. Everybody agreed Bush Hog sounds great. Most people don't know what a Bush Hog is. It's just a big, sophisticated piece of farm equipment.
Chops down weeds and
stuff? It's like a big lawnmower, basically. But it's strong enough to cut down bushes and trees.
Saplings, yeah.
Yeah. And so when a farmer gets ready to clear a piece of land, he does that. Then he will plow it under and fertilize it and plant his crops. He has to clear it off first, and that's what he uses, a bush hog.
How did the Blues Brothers come together? Was that kind of a joke at first because it started on SNL? Was it kind of like, hey, this is kind of cute? Because you ended up in the movie as well, both of them, I believe.
I did.
Are you in the chicken wire scene? That's like my favorite scene of any movie of all time. Is that you in there?
That's a lot of people's favorite scene. But Danny went around to Doug Dunn and I and said, tell us some old stories, since you guys came from the bottom of the barrel and worked your way up. Tell us about it. We told him about chicken wire. He loved the idea about the chicken wire, but he changed it because in the days we played, the chicken wire was put up there for the club owners to protect their instruments they had put money into. Because when a fight would break out and beer bottles started flying, the equipment would get tore up. The drums or the piano, the PA system or whatever, so they put up chicken wire to protect that. And so at Bob's Country Bunker in the movie, they said, well, that's part of the fun here. If people really like you, they'll throw beer bottles at you. It worked out pretty good. Everybody laughed about it. That's funny.
Now, you've worked with a ton of people I'd love to pick your brain on. You've worked with all four Beatles, Bob Dylan, John Mellencamp, but the one I wanted to ask about, a huge fan of Albert King, and of course, Born Under a Bad Sign. What a monumental album. What a cool guy. Now, I'm fascinated with his flying Vs, and I know one, I think, went to Joe Bonamassa, and one went to Steven Segal. Did you ever see, where those guitars ended up, or have you talked to anybody that ended up owning his stuff?
No, I know I've met Joe. I didn't talk to him about Albert's guitar, and I know Steven. I played with him 2 or 3 times. Never talked to him about Albert's guitar, and now I will. The next time I see him, I'll say, hey, where is Albert's guitar? What's going on with that? We did a show in Nashville where Leroy Parnell and I play behind Steven Segal. I've been to Memphis and did 2 shows with him in Memphis and 1 here in Nashville.
He's a pretty good blues player?
Yeah, not bad. At least his heart's in it.
What do you remember about Albert King's playing?
Crazy. And I asked Albert one time, I said, Albert, how did you come up with that crazy tuning? He said, that's the way the guitar was when I picked it up. So he said it was sitting back by the kitchen door in the screen wire, so the sun coming in made the strings get loose. And that's the way, he said, that's the way it was when I picked it up. It is some crazy tuning.
Yeah, I don't even know what they are, so then he didn't tune it to
I can
those.
tell you, but it wouldn't matter. I mean, nobody would want to play that way.
Yeah.
So I wrote it down one time, I put it all on the thing and wrote it down and gave it to Bonnie Raitt, and she said, that is crazy. Tell me it's crazy.
Well, Steve Cropper, he's got the new album out now called Fire It Up, and you've got the video up for that, too. And so do you think maybe those 2 extra songs, maybe on a B-side or, some sort of special release coming up?
Who knows? That's up to the record company. I don't know, but they are finished and they're done. And John and I have talked about it. What are we going to do with these? Because there was only room in the album for the 13 songs that are in there.
Steve's in the top 40 of the list of 100 greatest guitarists of all time, Rolling Stone magazine. As we mentioned, Songwriters Hall of Fame, Musicians Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He went through some of the awards in his office. New album sounds really good. I like the first song, Fire It Up. And Steve Cropper, Booker T and the MGs, and the Blues Brothers. Hey, nice chatting with you. Thanks, Steve.
My pleasure. I wish everybody was as lucky as I was playing with all the great people.